All right, we're on. Welcome back to episode, I already forgot, 13?
I have no idea.
13? All
All I
right.
know is there were 13 better people that came ahead of me for the podcast.
We were talking about this beforehand. It was your people and our people. They
that's
just
right,
couldn't
that's
get
right.
together.
It was lucky number 13, I think.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I can go with that.
We were trying really hard to try to get a hold of your agent, and obviously with all the stuff you got going on, that was tough. And Wade, I mean, he's difficult.
I tried.
Anyway, welcome back to the Soulman Podcast, episode 13. The conversations we would have had anyway. We have a super cool guest that we're going to talk about in a second. We got a few thank yous. One is to Pastel Pencil for our super cool Soulman Podcast stickers and some of our stuff that we're some of our marketing gear.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pastel Pencil, for that.
Pastel Pencil.
So all of your marketing needs, find them on the gram. I think it's the official Pastel Pencil.
Not a better junior entrepreneur in the region, Pastel
Yes.
Pencil.
Yes. So that was really cool. So the other thing, if you haven't seen, these stickers go to people that have been on the podcast. So this is actually yours.
Wow.
So you will know if you're driving around and you see this on the back of someone's car, this is the deal. So
They're perfect for for everybody's junk drawer if you are working up to it. But they'd look great on the back of an SUV.
Yes, or whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But we're going to give that one to you, so don't run off if we say something offensive before you grab this.
At least
So
you didn't put number 13 on it
we actually,
to remind me.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should number them.
So
Who else
I
do we
want
have to
to
thank?
I don't want to assume that that our guest has seen the previous podcast. She probably hasn't, even though we have a lot of viewers that are
More and more every day, actually.
present and future. But it's that company's owned by a woman who is 12,
Junior entrepreneur.
young woman,
Yep.
and
She
so
started
gets
a little
us-
company.
Yeah, so we get our stickers from her.
Awesome. Love to hear that.
Yep.
So that is awesome. And so there's one here, and there's one there, and I've got one on my my SUV and my truck.
Yep.
And so it's really cool that that she does that, and we are thrilled that she's getting this exposure too. I mean, it's just really, I think for her moving forward, it'll be something fun for her to look back on and go like, this is where I got my start, because I don't think this is her first and last business. I think it's her first business.
Yep. Yeah. So she's really cool. So anyway, thank you very much, Pastel Pencil, with these super cool things.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Bolton Mink Studios at Bolton Mink Studios on the gram, right?
Got it. Yep.
And then
Was it Real People, Real Solutions, Real Big Coffee Cups?
Yep, we got that one.
Thank you to Pelican Coolers. Appreciate your future sponsorship. Thank you to today's Angler future guests and hopeful sponsors.
We're working on that. Their
looking
people are
forward.
talking to our people.
Yep. And thank you to Pabst Blue Ribbon for providing beer in the marketplace that we may share on this podcast. And thank you to Robert Mondavi, who apparently our guest has met, and my wife and her friends have met as well, which is a beautiful winery.
It is.
Is it in Sonoma County?
Napa.
Napa?
Yes.
Napa. See, I'm an idiot. So Napa.
We've
County.
already
There you go.
explained that in the preview to
like
recording that we're not the smart
Napa?
people in the room.
I can recall walking into it, and it opens up to a giant, big green courtyard.
Yes.
that
It's
fair?
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Everything there is beautiful in
There you
Napa
go.
Valley.
And I've thought about our podcast, recently, and we'll typically say like, "Hey, this is our next guest, and this is what they've done." Our guest is Lisa Cownie, and I'll just call it and just say you can introduce yourself and what you want to share. You just Google that name, and it's all out there, and you can figure it out for yourself. But I'd like to hear Lisa give her shout out for herself.
Oh, that's so hard to do. Shout out to yourself, though, really. I do wear many hats in the community. I'm fortunate, though, to get to that point in my career where I can sort of pick what I want to do and, form my days that way. Southern Soulman Podcast was on that list, so I'm glad I could finally,
Thank
mark this
you.
up on there. Yeah.
That's very
you.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah, number 13. And so I start my day at KYC, get up. I get there about 5:30. Well, I get there at 4:30 in the morning. Go on the air at 5:30. And then when I leave KEYC, I go to MRCI, which is a nonprofit in Mankato that serves individuals with disabilities.
Absolutely.
And that helps fill my cup because the news isn't always great to talk about, so I need to find something that's good in my life. So spend the day at MRCI. And then I have other things that I do on top of that. Connect Business Magazine is one of them.
Okay.
North Cato Magazine, that's in its infancy still, but that's a really fun project. Do some adjunct teaching at MSU and various other things.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you teach at MSU?
Speaking and writing for broadcast.
Okay.
And intro to mass media writing.
That's awesome.
We're going to look awful on this one, dude.
Our resume is like this
It's
big.
just like,
Hers is like, well, this
Just
is all
awful.
I do in one day. I'm like, oh, man. Now I feel bad about myself. But we should stop talking because we're supposed to
sorry,
talk
we
to our
shouldn't do
guests
that.
because our
But
wives have told us
no,
that we talk too much.
I was really very thrilled and gracious, grateful, and thank you for being gracious and being on this podcast, because being an entrepreneur, business owner, partner, mother, and all these things, and being on TV every morning was pretty freaking cool for us. It's a good get for us. I mean, we had Cinder Campoff was a good. Camp off, not camp on. Was a good get. Nancy was a good get, and just the timing of it was just a great get for us, and so we were so happy that you would do it. And I guess I just want to say I'm thankful for for your time and for you to do it, because I know you get up super duper early.
I do.
And this is after the work day, and we're doing this, so we're just thrilled to have you on here. All BS aside. It's awesome to we can kind of fake and joke and be silly, but to have somebody that is in the business that does this all the time, just want to hear all about that. We typically start with you got Matt Brozick, you got Wade Abid, you got Lisa Cownie, where you're from and kids, and if you have kids, if you're married, school, and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of hedging some weird, because we either talk too much about this or not enough.
Yeah.
We haven't really got it dialed in yet. And so this is a long form dialogue. And so it's people are hey, I'm Lisa, I'm from here, I did this. And either we talk about it for 30 minutes, or we talk about it for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. So just want to hear the background, because we're trying to capture stories and have a narrative and a storytelling that we can keep for this point in time. So I guess I would hand it over and go kind of what's your genesis, and then where did you school and partnership and entrepreneurship and family and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to, there's no segment, there's no commercial break. So just you can kind of take your time with it, because that's the part that's really important, I think.
Yeah.
And so I would just hand it over and go, where'd you get your start?
Okay. Well, I grew up in a very small town in Missouri, north central Missouri. It's 300 people. When I go back there, my children are like, how did you live here? There are no paved roads.
What's the name of it?
Galt, Galt.
Okay.
So, yeah, very small town.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, in one place you haven't been.
Yes,
place I haven't
in
been.
one place.
There you go.
Every other guest, he's been to their hometown at least 3 times.
Sorry.
It's like everyone from the diner, middle of town. Anyway, sorry, interrupting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was a small town, and my senior class had 13 people in it, and 10 girls and 3 boys. Poor
Wow.
girls, yeah.
Wow,
on
that
a
would have
second.
been amazing.
So you're from Galt, Missouri?
Yes.
And was it Galt? Gul? Okay. And there were 13 people, and it was 10 to 3?
Yeah.
Damn.
Do you look back at that and think that was a positive thing, a negative thing, neutral? Are you glad that happened?
I will say that, for me, I didn't know any better, so for me it was fine. But now that I've been around the country and lived a lot, I wouldn't want that for my children. I hope nobody from Galt hears this, but, it's not...
You're not saying anything negative against them.
I feel like there weren't a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, give me a perspective. There's how many people in this town?
325.
300.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
I'm going to check it out.
You gonna check it out now?
Wade's gonna like put it on
Probably.
put it on the screen.
Sorry.
Okay, so you graduate from Galt.
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you work when you were in high school, or what
Yeah,
did
I
you?
worked at Dairy Queen. So there was a town. There was no Dairy Queen in our town, but 13 miles down the road was Trenton, Missouri, which was population 7,000. So that's where all the
so that's where
action
all.
was.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So yeah.
That's where all the boys were. You've been there.
I have been there. I swear to God.
Then you've
I'm
been
sorry.
by Galt. Then you've been by
I know
Galt.
I have. I'm
Been
sorry.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my
Where
God.
were you
Wade
in
is a
Trenton?
gypsy.
Do you know?
My wife thinks that, she's like, this is why people think you're such a BSer and like full of crap. And then, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start a map at my house of all the places I've been. So my grandpa had a gun cabin in Branson, Missouri,
Okay.
which is the opposite side of the state.
Yes.
What
And-
was that?
I know. It was a little aggressive there.
Wow. Yeah. You're
Aggressive. It was like socially distancing aggressive. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, he's full of crap. I was like, that's the wrong side of the state. And so I had to drive down to for my fraternity, which is Sigma Tau Gamma, which has its roots and its heart in Missouri.
Okay.
And so I drove through like the first two chapters, like which is funny. Like the first one I don't remember, but the second one was in Kirksville. So it was like Central Missouri State, maybe.
Northeast Missouri State was.
That's Kirksville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So-
it's Truman State University.
Now it's Truman State. And so here's something else that needs to jack you up. There's a dude, you can Google this too. The guy that was a quarterback at Truman State University was named Ryan Sullivan from Lakeville, Minnesota. He was a quarterback and he played hockey at that university. And you can't make that stuff up. So even all the spousal criticism, people thinking you're full of crap or you're like a BSer, you can't make the stuff up.
Okay. Remember, you're not supposed to talk so much.
Sorry. Lisa County.
Okay, so so working at the Dairy Queen, that's where we stopped, I think, in your story.
Yeah, through high school. Yeah.
So did your
Trenton.
parents? Yeah. So did you grew up on a farm then?
No, my dad was a mailman.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom stayed home. So,
Okay. All right.
but here's a fun fact, maybe how I got my start. Back to the original question. Trenton had a radio station, and my senior year of high school, they had a teen disc jockey contest.
Sweet.
I won it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were you
There were
putting
probably
on?
6 other contestants.
Well, that's
How
okay,
much competition was there with 13 people in the
That's
class?
okay. That's okay. It's all relative. So what were you like? How did you win it? Why did you win it? Was it the music? Was it the technical skills, or was it your ability to talk in a microphone inside a studio? What was it?
Yeah, I think it was the ability to talk in a studio and into a mic. So I am someone that gets terrified at speaking in front of people.
Really?
I don't believe that.
And I get
That
and I get
I
asked to
would
MC
not.
a lot, which I do. But if people knew how sick it made me, they would think twice. But so I do it. But I would much rather be in front of just a camera or a microphone than see faces out in a crowd. It terrifies
So
me.
this is much more your type of atmosphere versus talking in front of 100
Yes.
people or something.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. People are surprised to hear that because, I'm speaking to many people in the mornings, but I don't see them all.
It's easier. It feels like there's a disconnect because you're not seeing the people in the crowd, right? So this is Trenton, right?
Trenton, yes. Chillicothe. Oh, you'll find Galt.
Yeah. Galt's right.
Yeah, right there.
Galt
There
is
we
right
go.
there, right?
Hit the
On Highway
satellite
39
picture.
and 169 probably,
Yep.
or 139 and 6.
Yeah.
So there's Galt, right?
Look at that.
Okay. Right on, brother. All right, we got it. And then, Warrensburg. There was it.
That is Central Missouri. Yes.
That's Central Missouri.
Yes.
Got it. Bam. Thank you, brain. So it's harder, I think, to speak in front of, well, I mean, like you teach too. Like you taught it, like MSU. Like the cameras and the microphones. I guess I should ask you this. Like, does it bother you that we have a camera, like there's like 4 cameras going on as microphones? I don't care about it at all. Like
This
it's almost
doesn't
liberating.
bother me at all. I actually enjoy being in front of a lot of people. Like if I can talk and teach about something that I really, really know well in front of 150 or 300 people, I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do. If I really, really know it. If it's something I just kind of half-assing, I hate it, but I have to know it really well.
So then when you teach, do you teach in person, online, or mix
Well,
of
it was
both?
in person, yeah.
Yeah, before all of this
Right.
stuff.
No, totally in person. And I love it. I really do. And that age group is great. So I lived in Hawaii for a while and tried teaching. I taught junior high English for 1 year.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible. Middle
Yeah.
school is those teachers need to be paid like $1 million a year because that age group is tough.
That
Oh,
would
for
be
sure.
tough.
I
That'd
mean,
be
I've got a
hard.
junior high kid in my house right now,
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be related to me. I'm like, what the hell did you say to me? But
Yeah.
So does he
really
wear
hard.
flip flops and a silly shirt?
not yet, but he'll graduate to that. He will be. I'm trying to help build his self-confidence
Yes. Or
as a person.
this is what he's going to turn into. That's what, like when I would say stuff to my dad growing up, and he would, or he's doing whatever, wearing camo and sweatpants, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "This is what you get to turn into." And now I do exactly the same thing.
If he gets to turn into this, I think it's probably okay.
We're not supposed to keep talking.
No. So anyway, so why the difference? Because I know, like, my heroes are the people that can speak in front of a crowd and kind of like, like the George Carlins, Richard Pryors, the Joan Rivers, that will go after and get it done. What is it about the camera and the microphone that feels safer than the live audience for you?
I know, and I'm not sure why that is. I really can't figure it out because even going on live TV, which can be really intimidating when it's live and you don't have any redos, and even if there were, I think even if there were people, I think I should back up. If I had a camera and people, I think it would be fine.
Yeah.
But it's just speaking without having like that camera there, so I could go live places and talk, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
But it's really weird.
Is that a skill that you think you had, obviously winning that DJ contest? Is that a skill that you were just born with, that you learned about, like that you nurtured, that you tried to work at? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
No, I think it's a natural ability. I did have to work on my Missouri twang a little bit.
I love
so,
that. I love that twang.
Yeah, no, when I went to college, it's the first thing they got out of me was, you need to say words a different way. So, yeah.
So, which college did you go to that they were trying to get that out of you? Like,
Northeast Missouri State University.
okay, so
Yeah.
So NE Missouri, NEM. Okay, I gotcha. But can you like dip back into that twang if you want to?
I reckon I could.
Sorry, that was just come on now. Like,
It sounded better. You should do the rest of the podcast like that. That would
Yeah.
be way cool.
Just don't say ain't. I never want to hear the word ain't.
Wait, you don't like that word?
Ain'tin'.
No?
Oh, no, don't like it.
Too much?
Yeah.
See, and for me, like, it's a weird thing because, like, my babysitter growing up, in Waukegan had a mix of Mississippi and Alabama, like Sarah and Willie Monk, and so things that make sense to me growing up as a kid, being like one, like I'll tell my kids, please cut that light, and they'll be like, what? Not turn off the light. Go cut that light. Go cut it. Or, like I'm fixing to do this or something like that. There's a Southern vernacular that comes with it that I just grew up with. And so I'm a fan of that because I think it's, I don't know, it seems very American to me.
Yeah.
And so then when, like when I see people on the news or that are writing and like I find out they're from like New Orleans, I'm like, that person does not sound like they're from that part of the country.
Right. And I don't think the point is like to be embarrassed to have that Missouri twang. It's just that you might work in places where, you have to sort of sound like you could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
that's the point of it. But
Well, I travel and people are like, you are for sure from Minnesota
Or
or
Canada.
Wisconsin or Canada.
Canada, yeah,
That's what they say
exactly.
right away. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm from Minnesota. What's wrong with that? And we knew right away. Now, I used to be embarrassed by that. I'm like, I just love it now.
I love it, man.
I just talk like a Canadian. I don't really care. I just
They're
like
like, so
hockey
you want to
and
go on your
goulash
boat?
Yeah, we're going out on
Sure,
the
we
boat.
can go on the boat.
We're going to go
Yeah.
catch some walleyes, grill them up. Anyway, okay, we got to go back to her because that's what we're supposed to talk about.
Sorry, I got to do that.
Oh, we're doing a bad job.
We are. It's awful.
This is
So
what
self-conscious
amateurs
right now.
sound like.
So
Anyway.
self-conscious.
Okay, so you're going to college. You're getting
Yes.
rid of your twang.
Right.
Trying your best. So, obviously, I'm just guessing, you probably studied in the same type of field.
Yeah, communications.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say there wasn't a lot of studying in college, to be honest.
No, but you won the contest, and
Yeah.
it did that. So what did that do for your, influence, persuasion in your own? Your
Well,
own
the prize
schooling?
was you could work there on weekends.
No shit.
So,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had my own shift there. So that's essentially kind of how I worked my way through college. I mean, it didn't pay a lot, but, so yeah.
But you got a spot. Like you won, you got a spot on the station.
Right, yes.
Okay, and so that's a
Saturday
huge thing.
nights even.
Yeah.
So you get a Saturday night spot.
Yeah.
And how long did you get?
The shift was 6 hours.
You had a 6-hour spot. Okay, so
That's awesome.
I was cheap labor, let's face it. They're like, oh,
Just give it to her.
yeah.
But how old are you at this point in time? You get a 6-hour spot on the radio on Saturday.
17.
17,
cool.
6-hour spot. And what did it run? Like, what was the time of day?
I ended at midnight, so
6 to, wow. Okay.
Wow.
So what did you do for 6 hours? Because 6 hours is like, we're going to like try to just run through 90 minutes here and have a good time and have fun and, have wine and have a good time, right?
I spun records, and that's when they literally
6
were
hours at 17
records.
is a lot to fill.
Yeah, it was fun though, and I was 17, so my boyfriend broke up with me. So one night it was just complaining about that.
I'm so lost
Okay.
without you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
As much as I want to ask about that, because that sounds like a really interesting. Like I would love to go. Like
Let's go
so-
there.
So did the songs change after your boyfriend broke up with you? Like you were putting on different
Oh
stuff,
my God,
or
yeah.
like how did? That, oh my gosh, that we could. Ask
yeah,
some
and the
questions.
snarky remarks, and looking back, it was probably embarrassing, but at the time, it seemed like the thing to do.
No last names, but what was his first name?
David.
David.
David, he's gonna probably watch.
Yeah.
You don't get a sticker.
He's a dentist now in Trenton.
Of course, David's a dentist.
David the dentist.
David the dentist. Holy crap, that's a great story. That's awesome. Okay. Do you remember any records you played?
Rick Springfield all day long.
Really?
Okay.
Just in general, Rick
right on.
Springfield. Do you guys not know this about me?
No.
I don't know this.
I have no idea.
Never heard this.
You don't know that I'm like Rick Springfield. I go to maybe, pre-COVID, 8 to 10 shows a year all over
Really?
the country to see Rick
Okay.
Springfield. Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
I traveled to LA. I was going to write a book on his band. I did write a book on his band, but at the last minute, the drummer backed out because there was some stuff maybe he shouldn't have said in there. But yeah,
I just want to take him hit the pause button. Do you know Rick Springfield at all? Matt?
Very little.
Okay. So here's what's awesome about this right now, which I'm so
Wade
loving
knows-
this. I'm just like
Wade knows
relishing
everything.
this so much right now. Let's suck it. So, which is great about this because I'm 40 and he's like 34. And so Rick Springfield speaks to me.
oh yeah,
So I'm in like this tweener, kind of like
Right.
tweener generation. Right? So you should look him up. He's a super
I'm
duper,
going to right
super
now.
duper handsome guy. Good songwriter, good, good musician.
I'm trying to get it on the.
I'll put it up there.
You put it up there. I'll let you do it. You're already up there.
What's great about it is he has maintained, like over the course of time, he is like longevity.
he's 72, and you would never.
He
believe
looks
it.
Really?
amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll pull him up here if we can get it. I don't know if we can or not, but
He was just in Mankato, 6 years ago for Rib Fest, and I got to introduce him, and it was pretty cool.
and I think that
So now you're a 17-year-old and you're playing his records, and then you got to write, but kind of didn't write the official
Right.
official book.
Someday it'll get published. But
And
It will.
You had
yeah, this is the dude.
look at that guy.
Okay.
look at that
So
guy.
you look at that you probably know like Jesse's Girl. You've heard the song
Yeah,
Jesse's
yeah,
Girl.
yeah, yep,
right.
yep.
So I think people get like him mixed up sometimes. No disrespect, but it's like Rick Springfield and then like Billy Squier, like that whole kind of that era of time. They might mix up some of the like some of the songs but singer, songwriter, actor. He's been on daytime television. Is this fair?
Yes, yeah, Grammy Award winning, New York
Wow.
Times best-selling author.
So how'd you get connected with him to do the book? unofficially?
Well, I
or-
got to interview him actually a couple of times just through my profession, so that was really thrilling. So I thought I was going to throw up the whole time, but he was really cool.
So you're a super fan.
Super
and
fan,
then you
which
get
he
to
didn't
interview
know.
him.
So, like, I couldn't.
You didn't like have a sign like
I
when
had-
you came in.
I had to be professional. So, like, he didn't see me. If he would have known how I am, I would have been mortified. But, oh, look at that one.
So this one's
Look
good.
at
This
that.
is like
Yeah.
this is prime sex appeal. Rick Springfield right here.
That's pretty
Look
good.
at that.
It's good.
At Live Aid.
Yeah,
So I was waiting for the interview with him, and I was talking to his band.
pretty good.
And, they were talking about, one of them was saying, I'm missing my kid's soccer game tonight. I hope it goes well. But just hearing them talk about how they're actual real people
Yeah.
really, like, hit home to me. Because all we said then it was with their spiked hair and their, and like they're rock stars. And they were lamenting about missing their kid's soccer game, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, those are stories that should be told. And I didn't know who would read it, but I knew he has,
Yeah.
thousands of fans like me. And we would at least buy the book. So, yeah, they're
It's
really cool.
super cool. Yeah, that is
I
way
think that's
cool.
being an entrepreneur and owner, editor, and writer, and
Yeah, I mean, I got it in my head. Then I just,
You got it.
I got to do it. Yeah.
it's there to do it. Holy smokes, this is awesome.
That is really cool. One
Sorry,
of the, one
I've
of the,
seen him too, and he's a fantastic performer. And I
Yes.
think you don't have to say this, but I will. I would not put him in the category of one-hit wonder because of Jesse's Girl.
17 top 40 hits. Just saying.
Just saying. So, but I think he's known for that. That's like
It's
kind of that
unfair,
big hit.
yeah.
But it's unfair. He is a kind of long-standing. Can we say 40 years now?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
so on the ride home tonight, that's literally what I'm going to do is like the top, 40 of his. I'm just going to go best, greatest hits, and I'm going to go straight down the line and listen to all of them.
and you'll go like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that he did this or did that."
Right. Yes, that is what happens.
And then I will email you, call you, something. I'll call in on air when you're on air.
Okay.
Like, hey, remember when you said that?
Yeah.
No, that's really, really cool, though. You got to like, you enjoyed, obviously, big fan of the music, and then you got to interview him and all that.
Yeah. I mean,
That's pretty amazing.
it's amazing. It's one of the perks of the job. Oh, he looked at my interview. One of the perks of the job, for sure.
Tony, you the man.
Tony got it?
Like my autobiography, when I put that out, I didn't really know.
I cannot tell you how nervous I was.
This is your
though.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is great.
This is me.
Nothing to judge it by, same with the documentary. I thought there'd be some interest, but it's certainly.
But it could have gone either way driving to this because he could have been a dick. Sorry for
Yeah.
my language.
No, it's
you know,
okay.
and,
Very
and,
good.
and ruin my whole
Perspective on
Yeah,
him.
but he ended up being just super cool.
There you are.
Look at
I
that.
am. And look at the guy. I don't know where the guy in the middle came from.
Look at this. He's like wearing the Canadian tuxedo, jean
Yeah.
jacket,
Yeah.
jeans, and you're rocking these awesome boots for this interview. It looks great.
They played it, and they
Yeah, nice boots.
Holy
by the way.
moly.
Look at
Okay.
those boots.
That's
So
awesome.
how many years ago was this?
This was in 2012,
This is not that long
So-
ago.
No, that's so cool. Where were you guys at for that?
Dubuque, Iowa. Yeah.
My
That's
wife
so
was
cool.
born in Dubuque, Iowa. I hate you. Sorry, I told you she has. She is. I'm sorry. She is. She went to college at Clark University in Dubuque, Iowa. I'm sorry. Just so many connections.
Wade's been everywhere. I swear you just
I have
drove
not-
around the country.
I've been like in the same 50 places a lot of times, and everybody that's been here has been in the same places. Or I just remember it.
Yeah,
Holy smokes. Okay.
that's really cool. So how did this interview come about?
So the Rick Springfield fan girl community is big, yet it's small.
It's
And
deep. It's
So
deep.
one of them in it, she was a big marketing professional in Florida, and she wanted to do a documentary on fans like us. And so he bought into it, and it's called Affair of the Heart. If you ever want to watch it, it's really good. And
I
so
would
she
love to. So-
emailed me, and she's like, "Lisa, are you going to the show?" in
So just
Dubuque?"
for our producer that will work on the editing. So what's it called? Fear of the Heart?
Affair of the Heart.
Affair
Sorry,
of the
masks,
Heart.
it's
We'll
hard.
check that out. Affair of the Heart, Tony. So we'll put that down for
Affair of the
editing.
Heart,
Affair
yes.
of the Heart.
Which is one of his songs, one of his top 40 hits.
That I will now
Of the
listen
17.
Yeah.
to over the next couple days of my
Right.
life.
Of the 17 top 40 hits.
Yes. So she emailed me, knowing that I was in the industry, and she was trying to get promotion for her documentary. So she's like, if I can get his people to agree, would you want to interview him? Which was, what kind of a question is that?
You're like, yeah, I'll be there.
But I'm trying to play it cool. I'm like,
I'll bring my
I
boots.
could probably drive down to Dubuque. Didn't tell her I already had tickets, so anyway, that worked out.
Were you here?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in Mankato and you make the trek. I don't want to name the roads because it'll make Matt mad because I have a weird brain. But anyway, so you drive to, Dubuque through Decorah probably, which the Whippy Dip is there. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Which Pseudo Sue,
Pseudo Sue
Toppling Goliath,
is from Decorah.
From Decorah, Iowa. So there's my name drop.
Sorry, there you go.
Thanks, Decorah.
It's not fun. I hate this brain. So but you're here, and are you doing like the editorial work, the TV work? Then at the time, obviously you had this interview, but were you already there, like doing all that kind of stuff already?
Yeah, at the time I was the noon anchor at KEYC, the midday anchor. We didn't have a morning show yet. So yeah, the station graciously let me take a photographer on their equipment and go down and
That's awesome.
fulfill
cool.
part of my dream. So it was awesome.
No,
Which is weird because in 2012, like my boys Miles and Lincoln are really little, and like we all.
I had one child, I think, and one on the way in 2012.
Yeah. You have kids. I have kids. I think you have.
4.
Ooh.
I just want to be fair. I know you have kids already, but I'm trying to be. So we all have kids. So in 2012, I have like 2 little kids. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what happened that year.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Right.
'Cause my kids are like 3 and 1.5.
Well, now you know the best thing that happened was
Right.
I got to interview Rick Springfield.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was trying to think back to 2012. Started a business, had a kid. I don't even know what that year was, but
So can I ask
I'm glad
you,
now I got the historical account of what
Right.
was really happening in that year. Because that's cool.
No, it's awesome. I think for, like what I was thinking about this, like doing this podcast, last night, actually like probably this morning, like 4:00 in the morning. What I would like to hear about is what do you do to prepare for that interview? Not like the notes thing, but like the real part of, are you up at 3:00 in the morning? Is there anxiety? Is there stress? Are you going over questions? Like, how do you prepare to interview, a Grammy-winning artist that has an international following that people are going to see this? Like Tony found it in 30 seconds. Like, how do you get prepared to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question because another challenge was I had 8 minutes. They're like, he has 8 minutes he can give you, So then you're like, well, how do I make the most of my 8 minutes? So I wrote questions out and rewrote questions out, and then on the drive there, which is 5 hours probably, it was practicing asking them because I knew I'd be really nervous, So, but one of the hardest things was pretending like I didn't already know all the answers because let's face it, I had been following him since 1981. So, I thought I kind of knew, but then trying to figure out what I could ask that I didn't know, but then I realized there probably wasn't anything. So trying to act like I wasn't a super fan was probably a hard thing to do.
And that would be difficult, I think. It's almost, and this is like a minuscule amount of what that was, but it's almost like we've had friends that have been on the podcast, and it's easier for me not to know the person than it is to have the person there because it's like, okay, well, I already know all of that.
Right,
Where people that don't know that person,
Right.
it's like, well, those are really the questions to ask. So that is harder when you know a lot of the answers.
Right. And it was really important to me that he saw me as a professional and not as the silly person that,
a super fan.
Yeah.
Until later, like that night in the show, which is like the roles change. Like he's performing and you're a fan, and that's how it should be. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing an interview with the person, it just kind of changes. Same people, different roles,
Right.
maybe the same day. Mm-hmm. But you're asking these questions going like, well, I want to put out a good product and have a good interview, and for 8 minutes, which is so freaking hard to do.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I hated doing that, like in the courtroom or opening arguments or closing arguments or things where you're trying to get it really succinct with the pressure of you drive 5 hours. I have no idea what that's like. And we're just like slogging through 90, 120 minutes here, which is what makes this format's great for that, which is so much fun to hear, the story, but to have one of your favorite artists for 8 minutes, who you're going to see later that evening,
Right.
perform, and you have to dial it in. did you sleep well the night before?
Oh, I
or
did not.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
no.
I think that's the problem that like.
Have you had an interview? Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Have you had an interview since that hasn't been that stressful?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean,
That's
it was,
interesting.
you were right. It was stressful. It was both like the greatest interview ever and also the most stressful probably, but I'm happy I got to do it. So,
Now, how long have you been in your industry?
since 90.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
well, that's easy math.
I'm
So if
very
you do
old.
so you have your spot for 6 hours, which by the way, for folks that don't, you know,
Well, that was in 85, so I guess longer if you count. I just meant TV, but radio, I guess, yeah, going back to.
but
Yeah.
like 6 hours is a lot. Even with records, it's like you have some time on air to do it. And so when did you go to school and then you finish up and you're studying like communications or
Yeah,
something
yep.
like that?
Communications was a degree. And then one of my classmates in one of my communications classes, dad was the news director at a TV station in Quincy, Illinois. And I think he may have had a little crush on me. So he's like, oh, my dad can get you a job at his TV station. So,
Is Quincy, Illinois on the river?
yes.
Okay.
Wade's been there a dozen times. He knows everything about it.
Oh my God. Name a lake in northern Minnesota. Seriously. Matt's caught 19 million fish out of there. So, oh yeah, I know that lake.
Yeah.
You know a boy lake? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know a girl lake? Yeah.
You know, Woman Lake.
You know a lake? Yeah, been there too. If
Yeah, see, that's the same. That's how we should talk. The
It's the
fishing
same thing.
episode is going to be amazing.
It's gonna, not for me. But
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
gonna
I've
be
never
awesome.
been there.
We're just gonna we'll put you right here where there's no microphone.
That'd be great.
I'll just talk. So here's one of the big questions that we wanted to ask.
Okay.
So obviously you've been in the industry and you've had a career which I had no idea you did that interview, which now I think is really, really cool. Which I hope is bringing me up from the
So thankful.
the wherever I started.
Got a little ways to go.
Yeah, so hopefully you like me better now from the off camera, whatever I said to be offensive, but just kidding. So my big question is, how much has how much has your industry changed? What are the biggest changes, and how has that been? Because there has been a significant, I mean, from the outside, significant
Oh, yeah.
change.
I mean, everything has changed, to be honest with you. Everything from the technology of it. We didn't have computers, the internet back then. You did everything the old-fashioned way. You actually went to someone to get the information. But one of the biggest, the fundamentals of journalism should not have changed since then. I think they have. But
Can we stop there? I
Yeah.
would just be interested in, the fundamentals haven't changed. You think they have. Tell me a little bit about what that means.
I 100% think you can probably watch most channels and understand where they're coming from politically or their views on a subject. And when I was being
Yeah.
trained in that,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like, you are human, you have an opinion, but you never let it show on the news because you have to be an objective reporter of the
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sadly don't think that, I'm not talking about local media, national media mainly, but
Yeah.
I really don't think there's much of that objective reporting anymore. But
We can go there too, and I think I've heard and I did experience a little bit in my life. So Quincy, Illinois, just as a segue, is by Hannibal in Missouri, which is you're a historian. It's Samuel Clemens' hometown, Mark Twain's hometown, right?
Yes.
That's a great lake over there. Fun part of the state. Doesn't matter. But can't make that up. Look it up. Go ahead. But I think I didn't catch Walter Cronkite. So I think that more in my mom and my grandmother's era, he's the most trusted man.
oh yeah, he's the
Not-
gold standard.
Not in news, but in America. And so think about the time where, you have the Nixon era and that kind of point in time through Eisenhower but that he carried a lot more weight than that over many different, presidential, terms. But that particular time where there was a challenge on the integrity of the system, he was the most trusted man in America, give or take one or two. And so I didn't catch all of that because he retired, but I did catch people and Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather, Jennings, and like set aside all the other different problems they had, as people, but as news people, I didn't get a deep sense, like growing up in the 80s and through the early 90s, that they were really picking a side.
Right.
Regardless of all the other, and that's been well documented, through like Jennings and Rather and Brokaw. Like nobody's perfect in the past, and I don't even want to go to that stuff. But as a news person, I think they were the last of something. They were the last of
I would agree with that.
Okay.
And it's really sad to me because journalists play an important role. Like if we don't tell people, how will they know? But I think it's gotten away from just reporting the facts and letting people make up their own minds. Where we're, in general terms, telling people how to think, and I feel like that is wrong and is not our role.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, and I can't quite pinpoint when the shift happened. We talk about this kind of a lot, even around the newsroom. Like, when did the shift happen where, we become, responsible for people's beliefs and stuff? And I don't know when that shift was. I don't know.
I don't
when it
know,
was.
man.
But it's not getting any better, I can tell you that.
Like,
Do you think that we'll return to something like that?
I think so. I mean, hopefully the
really?
people will demand it.
I hope so, but
I know.
But here's what's interesting.
I don't know.
So I was a history major, and I look at periodicals. I mean, my final in history was reading 15th century English politics. So like I went way back reading the original literature, which is going to be boring. We'll probably cut this out because it is boring. My point is going through and looking at, like, say, Civil War era literature in America, or you're looking at 1800s, 1900s, and you're looking at journalism in America. There was not even a thought that it was supposed to be objective. It wasn't even a thing. Like you go back to the 1860s, you had that newspaper and you had that newspaper.
Sure,
and
sure.
you go to the Revolution, it was that newspaper and it was that newspaper. That was a Tory newspaper.
Yep.
If you liked the British view of things and if you thought the king was great, that was your newspaper.
Well, that's where we are now, really.
And so what I find is interesting is that's such a unique time when you have the Brokaws of the world or those people that were trying to just tell the facts.
Right.
Not say, as you had said it, how to tell people how to think.
Right.
So how does that...
Some wine?
So maybe it's like everything else, it's cyclical then, I guess, because...
And that's my thought is,
yeah.
I think at some point, and this is completely outside, I'm not nearly as, I don't know nearly as much as you do.
We'll describe this, I guess.
So my point is I think at some point people are going to not like that because it's going to be like, this doesn't make sense anymore. Like I'm so sick of just hearing one side. To me, that doesn't make sense. But I think right now, like you said, it sells eyeballs,
Oh. Cheers.
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 Cheers, Matt. Cheers, Lisa. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers,
Thank you,
Tony.
Cheers. Appreciate you too, man.
So I think you're right that we'll see that cyclicality come back eventually. I don't know when that's going to be, but I think journalism at its core, I think to be the best it can be, is that. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
No, I think so. I hope it comes back. But.
So what are the other major things that have changed?
Okay, so when I first started, so now we record on little bitty square things that go into little bitty cameras. And when I first started, there was like the
Boom.
Yes, the super VHS tapes that go into this tape deck. So I had that on one shoulder because I was a one-man band, they call it. So I had that on one shoulder with the cord connected to the big camera.
We're a one-person band now.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Right. And a tripod.
Come on, Lisa. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
One-person
I
band.
got you. So.
But it doesn't rhyme.
Yes.
One-man band. One-woman band. There you go.
there you
One-woman band.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you choose to be.
Right. So.
Anyway, so you have this giant camera.
Yeah. Giant camera, giant tape deck, big tripod. So, yeah. That's how it's changed.
And so, like, when you shot all of that, were you able to do it live back then? Or did you have to record it all?
No, we could go live. So again, now live is on your cell phone usually, it cooked up to your camera. And back then they had the big satellite trucks. Have you seen them where they would like crank up the satellite? And,
For
yeah,
sure.
it was a whole big production.
I'm
So-
from the hood. We had the news truck in my neighborhood all the time. And they were like, just like, F it, I'll do it live. Like before that was a thing. And they just made it happen. But they had to like, and like some of the vans had like stabilizers that came out of the doors to keep the van
Yes,
down
that
so
is
it didn't tip over. Because it was so big because they
Yep.
were broadcasting, from Waukegan all the way down to Chicago, like to get the bigger feed,
Yep.
put out because it was the early 90s and somebody got stomped somewhere and they had to put that out to the national media. Or like the OJ verdict came out.
Yeah.
Oh, I was here when that
Seriously.
happened the first time. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I should say the first verdict. They're like ones in the future, but the first, like the big kind of trend-setting kind of historic verdict. We had vans everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And it was a thing. But now you can go like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
this is
it's
Lisa
true.
reporting, and the quality is probably better.
Yeah.
You have more power and like cooler stuff in this little tiny box than you probably had in that whole truck
Yeah.
back
Yep.
then.
It's so crazy to
It
me.
is nuts.
So you started out, so if you're going 85 on the radio and you fast forward 6 years, you get the job in Quincy, and then you start down this path, like you've kind of ran this kind of 20, 30-year transition. The last 15 years or 10 years must have been crazy. But like for me, I remember getting the discs in the mail for AOL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a game changer.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're like, man, like they keep sending me these discs. I should probably get this. And it was like AOL America or something like
America
that.
Online or whatever.
And then you would get that and then sign up for it. And it was, you can probably insert the sound bite for
The dial up.
that changed everything. But news wasn't quite there at the time, though.
Right. No, I mean, we had to call and we had to actually go to use sources to get stuff and not just the internet. It was a lot different. What else has changed is the look on TV. So we had a very uniform hairstyle where
look?
all of the anchors had the same hair.
Oh yeah.
I had 3 different colored blouses that I could wear under 2 different
helmet.
blazers. Yes, the helmet.
The helmet, yeah.
Skin, you would never show skin. You had to have the long sleeve jackets on. So, now that's, of course, has all changed. And
Yeah,
you can look however you want to look, which is the way it should be. But
It's so crazy to me, like that. I guess it feels like it happened gradually, but I remember, like, sorry for the dated reference, but it's just what comes to mind. But like I was watching like Barbara Walters, and she was kind of she set the standard for the suits, and then like Connie Chung and those folks they would never show that much skin on TV.
no. And it's still hard for me, even.
And it changed.
Yeah, it did change.
Like I'm watching Laura Ingraham. Don't read into that. But I'm watching Laura Ingraham last night on television, and she's wearing like a pastel purple V-cut sleeveless silk shirt. And I'm not going to say blouse because it makes people seem creepy, but it was kind of a blouse. And
Blouse is kind of a funny word too, though.
it's a fun word that we need to preserve. By the way, we
It's a good one.
can have like a
Now that
word
we've
podcast.
Now that
okay,
we've said that
But
in the historical
it's a
society,
great.
we can
It's a
archive
great
it.
shirt. And I think, if you're going to be all progressive about things, yes, I can tell the difference between, as a 40-year-old man, between a shirt and a blouse. But she would not have worn that top, shirt, blouse, top. See that? So that top wouldn't have come out 20 years ago.
Right.
She would have been roasted for that. And now it's just, she was like, it's hot in the studio. These lights are bright, and I'm going to do this thing. And,
Yeah.
her makeup and everything looks great because she's not, sweating her ass off doing this show. And it was totally normal. Like that was the last thing I thought about until this podcast in the last 120 seconds.
I got one question. So, like you were talking about that. So how much you talk about you get you go on air at 5:30. You're there at 4:30. Like, what's your prep? What do you do to
I
go
love
through
that.
that prep?
Yeah. So I'm fortunate that somebody comes in at midnight to actually produce the show. So there's someone there gathering the stories, the video, writing it all up.
Yeah.
So when I come in at 4:30, I read through the scripts, make sure that they're for my readability. Yeah, and then that's basically my prep, is just reading the scripts and making sure. At KEYC, we're a small market, so it's kids that come there to learn, and so that's another part. One of my roles there now is because helping them learn the ropes, and then
That's so
they
awesome.
go on. But
So one question is because you've been doing this for a number of years. Does it seem like it's been that long that now you're like the senior person teaching, or is it seemed that long?
yeah, it doesn't seem that long. And I keep forgetting how old I am, to be honest with you.
You don't seem like a person that's been doing a career for
I just
30
never think of
plus
it,
years.
and I'll be talking
Dude.
about somebody my age like they're super old, and I'll be like, "Oh crap, that's how old I am." But yeah,
Dude, 6 hours at 17 with the station. For real. Like
It's pretty cool.
that's a G move. That's some gangster S. And like my wife says, well, if you say S or frickin' and still like swearing, no, it's not. But
that could be an argument. I could side with your wife on that, I think.
of course, obviously she's way smarter than me. But
We
then,
both agreed that our wives are way smarter.
yeah, but she can have her own
better looking than
podcast
us.
then.
Yeah.
I don't, whatever. I don't
We're going
care.
to try to do a spouses podcast.
I'm being competitive about it. But what I'm saying is for her to be 17 and have like a 6-hour spot on a Saturday, which is a prime night, and to have that going back to 85 going forward, like nobody better to learn from. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like through that, like point in time. And I point out that in 85, radio was the place to be.
Yeah.
It was the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, like if you go back to 85 and talk about how huge radio was, and like it couldn't be any bigger,
No, I agree.
I mean, like it's changed some because of all, different online and podcasting and, like satellite radio. But at that time, that was the spot. I mean, like that was like the medium for you to cut your teeth and like get some stuff done.
Especially KTTN in Trenton, Missouri.
KTTN, Trenton, Missouri. Big shout out.
Yeah. Are they still around?
Yeah, still operating.
All right, Tony, throw something up right about now.
Yep. KTTN, Trenton, Missouri.
That's cool.
Was it Brad the dentist?
When did you?
David.
David the dentist?
David the dentist.
D&D.
Yeah.
David the dentist. Sorry,
When
David
did
the
you start
dentist.
at KEYC?
Okay, the first time I started in 1992.
So there was 2 times?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
worked
Okay.
there until
Yeah, yeah.
96, and then my husband was going to Mankato State at the time, and he was in the Coast Guard. So then we traveled all around.
Oh, okay.
and
I didn't know
then-
he was in the Coast Guard.
Yep,
I didn't
and
either.
Got back to KYC about 12 years ago. So
Yeah. Well, we just
Okay.
figured out when you and I met for the first time officially that I played Sea League hockey with him.
yes,
Yeah. So I think we were on a couple teams together. But
Oh,
yeah, I
good.
always really
Yeah.
enjoyed playing with him. So okay, so you start with KEYC, you start back up. So like what was your first role?
So in Quincy, when I got there, I
Yeah.
was the weekend reporter. 'Cause you start at the bottom, But one night, the weekend anchor didn't show up, so they're like, "You have to go on." I had no idea what I was doing. It was a terrible fiasco, but they allowed me to keep trying at it. But I mean, I couldn't run the teleprompter. I was practicing with the teleprompter ahead of time, and then I
Oh
put
my
it
God.
in reverse to get it to the right spot. But then I kept it in reverse, so I said, "Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Brill," was my name at the time. "I'm Lisa Brill," and I hit the prompter, and the words all went away, and I completely panicked. I almost started crying, didn't know what to do, so I tossed it to break.
And you're live at this point? Or you're
Yeah,
recording?
no, I'm
Or
live.
you're
Yeah, it's live. Yeah,
So you tossed it to break.
yeah. I'm like, "Hello, I'm Lisa Brill." And then there were
We'll be
no
right
words,
back.
and I'm like, "We'll be right back." The weather guy comes running in the studio, and he's like, "You have scripts in front of you," because the papers were right in front of me. I could have looked down to read them, but
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
So okay, so how do you run a teleprompter like that? So you have control of that?
But with your foot, yeah.
Your foot, yeah.
There's a
All
foot
right.
pedal.
Yeah.
Huh,
So-
I didn't know that.
Can you shed some light for like a few people I'm thinking of in particular in my family? That reading a teleprompter is not as easy as you might think it is.
It's not.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Jeez.
difficult.
It is.
I've had to do it a couple times.
Yeah.
It's actually, I'd rather do it off the cuff than do it teleprompter.
Right.
It's easier to talk normal.
Well, and that's the whole key. Is you should never, in my opinion, when you're a news anchor,
Yeah.
seem like you're reading to people. You should be telling them the story and not reading the words. So,
Yeah.
so when you get that mindset, then I think it's better. But yeah,
And that has probably a lot to do with the writing
yes, it
and
does.
making it
has to be
conversational.
conversational, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's hard to do, man.
It is. It's really tough.
Like and I think for memorizing a long piece of information, I'll write it down on like a whiteboard or something, and I'll memorize the first letters of each sentence. And if I can see those letters, then I can remember, like I can see the rest of the sentence. And that's like kind of how a teleprompter should work, I think. It's kind of like did it, if it's being paced well. But if you're actually talking and saying it, it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a piece that's here, like telling you, like, you say this now, dum-dum. But like doing all those things at the same time, using a foot and talking and looking at a camera.
Talking to, but they're saying in your ear, like,
And
you have
they're
30 seconds, turn to camera.
Right.
Like, they're telling you something different than what you're saying.
Right.
So you
Which
have to
is really
listen
hard.
At the same time.
Yes.
and read and make sure it's all making sense. So, yeah.
That would be hard. Turn to camera 2. Turn to camera 2. No, you were supposed to look, not say that.
It is hard not to respond sometimes when they're like,
Okay.
tell you something. You want to be like, okay,
So other than the first
How can
time.
you fight that human response?
It is.
It's so hard.
So other than that first time when you had to cut to break in the first 5 seconds of your career in front of the camera, what are the other interesting times that you've had where like things didn't go right or
Oh gosh, I know I should have been prepared for that question.
we didn't give you any questions
I
to
know,
give
I
you.
know.
Not whatever.
This is-
Screw
we
it.
don't have to
Shit,
talk
okay.
about it, but I always
Yeah.
like there's always stuff behind the the camera that goes wrong or something that we as viewers might not even realize things screwed up. From you guys, it's like that was borderline catastrophe.
All right, yeah, I mean that's
And
cool.
like he had vomit on his shirt for a whole podcast.
Two episodes because we did back to back.
just
My
pure vomit.
7-month-old had like puked on my shirt right here, and I didn't realize it before I came in. And so there are 2 episodes with like a little circle right here of little baby puke. So
I had a bra strap showing one time for the whole hour-and-a-half morning show. Do you think the director could have said, your bra strap is showing? No, after the show. He's like, by the way, your bra strap is showing. I'm
You're like, thank you,
why
too
would
late
you not
now.
tell me? Yeah. And he's like, well, I didn't know how to say it. I'm like, just say your bra strap is showing.
Hey,
I don't
it's called
understand
effective
that.
communication.
can you please let her know after this next break that her bra strap is showing?
Throw that in the teleprompter.
No. Let's just finish it up. I'll tell her afterwards. Let's just film the rest of that.
So, yeah. And then again, it's live TV, so you can't go back and redo it, you know. So, anyway.
Like, so have you ever really like fallen flat on your face?
Oh, well, several times, I'm sure, yeah. Gosh.
Anything that sticks out? Because that would be really interesting to know.
I know. Sorry, I should have thought of this.
Not that I think that you would have done that or like are bad or anything, and that's
Oh,
not
no.
that's not what I'm saying.
No, there are I'm sure a lot of times that I've done, mostly pronouncing words wrong.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Is
or
a bad
saying the wrong
thing.
word or something like that.
And I always think when I have a bad day, like I can have 9 great days of reading the news, but when I have the one bad day, it's probably when everyone's watching.
Hmm.
And then they're going to think that that's the way I am.
How much do you get of people that run into you and say stuff about like your job or news or I saw you this or whatever? Like how much do you get of that?
Kind of a lot. So, but not much of it's, but most of it's mean is what I'm just saying.
Oh, most of it's mean?
Oh,
For
it's
sure.
mean. It's
Really?
So mean. I was at a fundraiser at Chankaska Winery one time, and I was sort of the host of it, so I was greeting people, and this guy comes up and he's like, Lisa Cownie, I watch you every day. So I'm thinking he's going to be nice, right? So I'm like, oh, and he's like, you look pretty rough some mornings. And there's like all these people are around. It's this fun event, and
Pretty
you
rough.
can't defend yourself. Is the thing, though. We have to
No.
just smile and be like,
It's like this. It's like,
thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
may you not have kidney stones.
But that's how it goes, though. It's always the people that are the most vocal. Or
Thank
the
you,
ones
Jane.
that
Thank you,
have-
Ken Schwickert. Appreciate you too.
Yeah.
Jan Kask, I love you. Can't pick your patrons.
But you know what I mean? It's typically the people that are not saying nice things that are the ones that are the most obnoxious.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the 100 other people that walked by you and you're like, huh, she seems kind of nice, and never, said that.
It's hard, man, because like I think about the long, long Teddy quote about he says man, but I'll say the person in the arena. That person may fail, they may err,
Yep.
blows may not land, but we should cheer the person in the arena
Yep.
because you're the one that's actually doing the work or making it happen. I think that's the gist of the quote. It's a long quote, and
Yep.
I could quote it and it would sound weird, but I'm not going to do that.
It's a
But
good one.
what I'm saying is, at least you're in the arena, right? So you look pretty rough some mornings, and you're like,
So do you.
"Thank you. You look rough. You look rough every morning.
Even right now.
Thank you, and thank God you're not on television, because we'd have to see it."
We got a call during the news yesterday. The phone was ringing at 6:10, so we're like, "Oh, this has got to be about something that we've done on the news."
6:10 a.m.
Yeah.
Holy
'Cause they're
crap.
calling during the news. So we listened to it during the commercial break, and it was this guy going, "Your station is so mediocre. I keep telling my girlfriend how we shouldn't even be watching you." And we're like, "Well, then don't watch." Like,
Then don't watch it.
sorry, if it's bothering you enough that you feel like you have to call at this moment while we're on the air to tell us that we're mediocre, then
You're like, sleep more.
right.
Value sleep
Your
more
girlfriend
than
must
this
be proud of you.
criticism.
She's probably really impressed right now.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's
They
a
have
good
nothing else to do with their lives.
it's a good segue because there's been such a huge consolidation for national coverage of things, and our local news, and I'm not going to be cheesy and get on a soapbox and all that kind of crap, but what I'm saying is having a local opinion, local voice, local journalists, local news anchors, and local editors and authors and writers and creatives, period, having local creatives, I guess I'll just say that,
Yep.
we're losing it, and we need to have local creatives, period. And I know the big people are trying to consolidate their signals. And you don't have to get into this, you don't have to at all. But if you want to, you can. But it's like, I don't want to hear Minneapolis news.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear Chicago news. I live in Mankato. I want Mankato news.
And what I will say is Mankato is really fortunate in this community to have the media that we do have here.
For sure.
The TV station, the free press, the magazines that come out, and it's all very community focused. And for a community this size to have what they have here is really fortunate. I do feel that way.
That's why
and
for
all the radio
folks,
stations, I don't want to leave anyone out, but
Yeah.
they're all great.
radio, I guess I'll say like radio, print, and TV,
In podcast.
we have a great, creative, community. I don't want us to lose our standing as a city in southern Minnesota, for example, which if you haven't seen the news on that or heard about it, we are on that chopping block.
Right.
I don't know if you've
We did a report on it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
So I haven't watched much of this or know
Yeah,
much about it.
so-
Tell me what's going on.
it's an issue, man. We need to maintain that standard, I think. I don't know. I guess I would defer to Lisa. I mean, do you think we need to keep it?
So Mankato, North Mankato, Matt, is a metropolitan statistical area, which helps with federal funding and things like that. So we're one of 144 cities that might lose that metropolitan status and become a micropolitan, which mainly affects some federal funding and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Which I don't
But
know
we're
what the hell
cool,
that
though.
means, like micropolitan.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds like it's like I think back to, like Red from Shawshank Redemption. Morgan Freeman, like micropolitan seems like a politician's word. Mm-hmm. Seems like a fancy word so you can wear a tie and have a job and stamp your forms. But I think we need to keep our designation as a metropolitan area, not a micropolitan area, so we can keep those things going. Because it'll have a cascading effect
It will.
on so many things, including our signal and what we can talk about.
And what makes us metropolitan isn't just the Mankato, North Mankato population. It's all the rural communities around us that come, we're the hub for them.
That's
So,
exactly right.
Yeah. So that's why that has value, because a lot
There's
of
so many
people-
more people that we serve
Right.
that drive so many. I mean, that how many times? Okay, so I had to go to the doctor today, just routine stuff. But I'm walking in, and they're talking about like there's people that are, you just kind of overhear guys in a wheelchair, moms pushing him and whatever, and it's like, oh, we finally got back. We finally got here. It was a 3.5-hour drive or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you hear that stuff because Mankato serves so many people, and especially having the hospital we have here and a lot of the amenities that we have here. So anyway, I think that I agree with you. We are a unique place in the state.
Yeah.
So can we bump back to you came here in 92 and then there was some coverage of your lineage and your story when it was in like Connect or one of the magazines I read in preparation for the podcast, which I'm so OECD like I have to read something, so I'm like I must learn about Miss Cownie some way. So you came here and then you left and you came back.
Yes.
So where did you go in the meantime when you were gone?
So we went to California. We lived in Santa Rosa, California, which is Sonoma Valley, near Napa Valley, which is why, And I worked for a wine industry business journal there, which was the coolest job ever. You get to just drink wine and then write about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert Mondavi.
Yeah, it was good. And so we were there for a few years and then moved to the Washington, D.C. area.
So opposite coasts?
Yeah, I'm not a big East Coast fan. Sorry for anyone listening that is from the East Coast.
It's okay.
I was ready to leave. Are you from the East Coast, Wade?
No, I'm from Waukegan, Illinois, which is North
right.
Chicago, Illinois,
know that,
and
didn't I?
but
Sorry.
but I am a lecherous
But
lawyer.
Wade's been everywhere over there.
But I'm a lecherous lawyer, and so DC feels like home to me.
Oh, okay.
Lawyers love DC.
You're going to like this radio voice or something when you're.
Wade's getting really serious.
I'm just trying to get like, I'm a schmarmy lawyer. I love DC. No, but anyway, so you went from Santa Rosa, which is a gorgeous community. By the
It
way.
is.
You ever been to Healdsburg?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, Matt.
He's going
My
off
son
again.
almost ran into Joe Montana with his stroller at a Healdsburg Wine Festival.
White Rose Estate, Santa Rosa. Love you guys. Sorry.
I probably shouldn't have said I didn't like the East Coast. Can we
Stop,
take that
Brad.
out?
We can
No,
cut that out if you
I
want
loved
to.
it.
There's nothing wrong with
I don't like
that.
the East Coast either. No, it's good.
So we were there for a few years. And then we moved to Hawaii. We were there for several years.
And this is all because of the Coast Guard?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what made you come back here?
Well, Brody was ready to retire from the Coast Guard. And I think if it was just he and I, we would stay in Hawaii forever. But we had 4 kids, and it's expensive to live there. And
Yeah.
there's only 40 miles you can go in any direction. So after 5 years, I was ready to get back to the mainland. So,
Sure.
and then when you can go anywhere, because we had one move, the Coast Guard had one move to get us off the island that they would pay for. So we knew we had to choose wisely.
Sure.
And we just always loved Mankato from our first time here and
So,
came back to raise our kids here.
so where's your husband from?
He's from South Dakota.
Okay, so not too far away. And then, so why'd you come in '92? Was that him or you?
That was him.
Okay, him.
Yeah. He was in the Coast Guard on Mississippi River. I know everyone makes fun of him because he's the Coast Guard and he was stationed in Keokuk, Iowa. And I had to cover a story with the Coast Guard, and that's how I met him.
Really?
So, yeah. You been to Keokuk, Iowa? You have not been to Keokuk,
He's been
Iowa.
everywhere. He's lying.
One of my favorite burgers is at Harry's Cafe, Lakeville, Minnesota. It's called the Keokuk Burger. It's a great burger.
So you have or have not been?
I have, and you can't make that stuff up. I'm sorry. I wish I could forget half the stuff I remember. Trust me, I want to forget it so badly.
Wow.
Just the judgment coming in right now. The Keokuk. Hold on. Is it spelled Keokuk?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And your face. Ding.
I need to find a new
Damn.
host. Lisa, do you want to host some episodes
Please
coming
come
up?
host some. Give me a break from this. Oh my God. Okay, so you come back.
So he was in the Coast Guard, so they sent him back to school in Mankato. So that's why we came to Mankato the first time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. So you had all 4 kids when you came back?
Yes. Yep. My
Okay.
oldest son was going into high school.
They brought all
we knew
4.
We had to get somewhere.
No, I'm saying, you know what I mean. Did you have,
After we
were
got
all
here, we
4
had-
children alive when you brought them over here?
Did you want to bring all 4? Or is there one you want to leave
Yes,
behind?
Which one did you want to leave?
It was like, ugh.
My oldest son was not happy with us, though.
How old is he?
moving. He was a freshman in high school when we moved here.
That's hard, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
He was
That's hard.
not, but he adjusted. But of all of the kids, he's the one that had to move the most schools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
That had to be
I
tough.
did. I moved after my freshman year of high school from Waukegan to Lakeville. I did 1 year of high school in Waukegan, and then I moved for 10th grade. It was hard, but like part of that moving, and having lived in, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Connecticut, New York, all that stuff helps. I mean,
So why did you move around so much? Have we gone over this before?
I don't think so.
don't-
No one's asked them that
I don't
question.
think so.
on
I
air.
will take some heat off Lisa. I moved for jobs. I mean, like not Coast Guard, but it was more corporate job related. Like for jobs in college, and I got in the Fortune 500, and they were, it was just promotions and more money and different jobs, and then, that was it really. It was kind of that path of going to school and getting a job and moving back to Illinois by my hometown, and which is near, Chicago, Illinois, and then getting a promotion, and then moving to Connecticut, and then taking another job and working a little bit in New York City, and then Toronto a little bit,
Wow.
and then kind of not really caring for the East Coast flavor. Not because not that it's not great. It's great. It's wonderful. It's a fantastic place to be. It just wasn't for me, and I didn't really care for it. It's not a criticism, but I don't know. It didn't really speak to me. So I love Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine and like those kind of things, which kind of reminded me of northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. Being up in Iron River in Wisconsin with my Uncle Don. I thought, I don't know, food's pretty good back home. Pizza's pretty good too. You know what I mean? Like the music's still good. And like the culture and the flavor, I just never, it just didn't really jive with me. So then, when I wanted to go to law school, I left Connecticut and New York and came back to Minnesota. And because my dad was here, and it just really spoke to me. So like all the places I've been that I happen to remember and I can talk about, pretty quickly. It's not like I'm totally full of crap. I just happen to remember it. I can tell you about. The first time that being a city kid in Waukegan, I went down to visit my uncle Mike and Uncle Aaron and Aunt Lee in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, or Whitehall, Arkansas. And we went fishing for trout in the mountains of northern Arkansas. You can look that up. It's there. And that was the first time I'd really been like in the country. And that just changed the game for me.
You talked about that. Well, we should actually
changed the
talk
game,
about
man.
that with you, and your son had that moment that you told me about
Just
too.
changed the game, man.
Yeah.
Just changed the deal. So, I've never been to Hawaii. Always wanted to go. And I've
Finally,
heard
there's
that,
one place that you haven't been.
Have you been there?
No.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. But I've heard that you can be from the mainland and be American, but you can not be from Hawaii. You could not be like, which is like duh. But what I'm saying is like you're from Missouri, cool. I'm American. You're from Hawaii, I'm American. Yeah, but you're not from Hawaii.
Right, exactly. Howleys, they called us.
Howleys. Yeah.
Howleys, yep.
Howli.
Maybe I don't know how you
Yeah.
spell it. I just know I was called it.
But it's like a derogatory term for you're American, but you're not Hawaiian.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, kind of had to prove yourself. I feel like that you weren't there to,
And no one likes
Very-
$9 gallons of milk.
Right. Yeah, it was expensive, and so I'm very thankful we had the opportunity to live there, but it was time to come back. But it was great while we were there for sure.
So
So to come back,
yeah,
it's okay. So to come back with the role, my question is, what is the role of the media today, and what's the future of that role, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, so I think media will be more on demand. Right now, so back in the olden days, we would write and do our stories for newscasts that started at 6 or 10.
Yeah.
Now, if you wait to put it on the newscast, you're already behind. You know, you
late.
immediately have to tweet it out, get it put on the website, post it to Facebook, and then it'll come on the newscast later that night if people happen to be watching. So
Yep.
I think it's going to just be more of an on-demand type. Newscast might kind of go away, which probably sounds kind of stupid to say, but I feel like people want it more immediately now
Yeah.
than they did before.
Yeah.
Do you have demographics on the people that are watching the actual newscast? Are they
Yeah.
are
And
they
here
fairly
it's still strong, yeah. And we get, and you know, Nielsen, that's another point. Nielsen ratings used to come out 4 times a year. Now we get them every week.
Yeah,
because,
exactly. Yep.
You know, we can check their ratings every week, so which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But
We got those boxes, man. We got those surveys too.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
yeah,
like you could
right.
you could sign up for them to
Yeah.
be one of the houses that did that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nuts.
So you think the future more on demand, or do you think that? Maybe tell me a little bit more about what that
Yeah, and
looks
more,
like other than
probably more web-based and things like, well, the podcast. You know, I think more people listen to podcasts and they'd rather listen to a regular newscast. So, yeah, I think what we do will be just different, probably shorter spurts of news rather than
Yeah.
what we traditionally call a newscast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. What do you see as the role of the local relative to the national media? Tell me a little bit about what you think that way.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm proudest about with KEYC is it's really a community station. So you're going to watch it and see your friends and neighbors and the good things that they're doing on there.
Yeah.
You know, we're not a strictly, you know, looking for the bad news and the drama.
Doom and gloom.
Station. You know, we're trying to find the people that are out there doing the neat Good Samaritan things or starting their own businesses and being entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I know that like we really enjoyed our feature in KEYC for the Selman podcast a lot. It was a really good thing, and we felt like we were kind of showcasing community stories.
yeah.
And that was nice. And when that happens, that'll be really fun.
Yeah. We'll see. Now I know why you asked me on.
Oh my God, there it is.
Now
Who's burying the lead? Are you kidding me?
Starting to
Get
come
out of here! I'm
together
totally
now.
kidding. I'm going to cut all this out.
Yeah.
leave
All
it
of
as
this is
funny.
being cut. It is funny.
Wade
It's
scheduled you, so
supposed to be fun.
Wade scheduled you, so it was all him. I had nothing to do with it.
It's like, so Lisa, are you on TV? I like TV.
Because KUIC is
Can we
what
be on
everyone aspires to
TV?
be
Does
on.
KW?
But actually, it would be a good story. I'm not just saying that.
No,
See, now when
no.
we do
And
call-
now we'll never do it.
Yeah, we can't. Now you're just like-
no, we can't do it now. That's
You have to do it now.
pandering. Sorry for my totally crappy and awful segue. I
When
think we're
you
running
when you
short on
said that
time.
right away, I'm like, because I literally not to sound weird, but I try my best not to watch television, just to go outside and like do stuff and whatever. And so I rarely watch news. And so when you said that right away, I'm like,
Did we do one of those?
shit, have we been on? Like,
No,
has there
exactly.
been a thing like I didn't show up
that's
to?
what I'm looking
Or?
at.
So where do you get your news, though? Because that's going to be, my point to the future of it is you probably go on if you hear something, you go Google it, right?
So yes, but there's two ways I get my news. One is my wife likes to look on her phone with stuff, so she knows about stuff way more than I do. But my thing is I do just enough to do my job as best as I can, and then I shut off everything else. Because I found when I used to watch a lot of news, and this was a lot of national, not local, I was much more of a negative person.
Right. I can
And
see
when
that.
I shut it off, this is probably now 6 years ago, and I just focus on the very local stuff and just what I need to do to do my job.
Yeah.
And I'm a way more positive person. There's a lot of people that say, "Have you heard or did you see?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
not a clue.
Yeah.
Not a clue. No, I had no idea that was going on.
Yeah. And this year in particular, I feel like a lot of people just turned off the news because of the dynamic of everything. And yeah, it was very stress inducing.
Yeah.
I know you have an early day pretty much every day, but certainly tomorrow. So I don't want to take any more of your time than is absolutely necessary for you to keep on your schedule and like see the people that you love and get your sleep. So you can like tell guys like the guy at Chankaska to take a hike. But if there's if there are questions that we want to cover or talk about, I would love to have you come back if you would.
Oh yeah.
That would be lovely. And I feel like this has been one of the easiest podcasts that we've done of the 13. Maybe the easiest.
Yeah.
One of. That's my opinion. You
I
can
think you did a
disagree.
very good job.
But,
At the very beginning, you
um,
said you weren't
I just
very
feel like-
interesting. I
Yeah.
could talk to you for a while
It
longer.
went fast. I'm kind of surprised because I was really worried if I would have enough to
You
say.
made this so easy on us, and I think you made us better. So I'm like, please come back. And but I think so I don't want to take. If we can talk as long as you want to talk and hang out, but I want to be respectful of your time. So I have a couple questions that I want to close with, if we could, and we don't have to close,
Sure.
but when you grew up as a kid, did you eat casserole or did you eat hot dish?
Casserole. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay. You can take that. Tony, did you eat casserole or hot dish?
Hot dish.
Damn. Are you from here?
Well, I was born in Texas, but I'm from here.
Okay.
See.
So growing up, so now we're kind of second question. When you grew up, did you play Duck Duck Goose or Duck Duck Gray Duck?
Duck, duck, goose.
Thank you, Tony.
This makes.
Gray duck.
Of course, you're
Thank you, Tony. We need a mic on you.
okay. Duck Duck Gray Duck from Tony. Okay. I'll go with that.
This is hard hitting journalism.
This is hard-hitting journalism here as we close and wind down this podcast with Lisa Cownie.
So if you'd like to, Lisa, that's your camera, which you're used to doing. If you have any shout outs or would like to tell anybody anything, you have whatever, how much time you want to do that, you can do that.
Family, friends, loved ones, anything you have going on in any of your endeavors and TV, editorial, ownership, all that kind of stuff. Just
All I want to say is, go Mavs. This is our year. We're getting past the first round of the national tournament.
Yeah.
hell yeah,
All right.
go Mavs!
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate
Thanks for
you.
having me.